Today, we're making the ultimate prawn fried rice, starting with the actual cooking of the rice to soak up maximum flavor. Inspired by risotto, paella, Hainanese chicken rice, the rice itself does not have to be plain. We start by making our prawn oil and prawn stock. We trim the head just below the eye so that we could inspect for the sandbag. Remove the head, remove the shells, remove the vein if present. Medium heat with a generous amount of neutral oil, heads and shells in to extract the fat-soluble flavors, namely the nutty sweetness and the savory depth, of course, the signature orange hue. A bit of ginger for some zesty freshness and to get rid of any low-tie marine aroma. A bit of scallion for some savory depth and subtle sweetness. Once we have this beautiful orange hue, we reserve the fat, which we'll use to fry our rice. Now, water goes in to extract the water-soluble flavors, the umami, the salinity, and the high-Thai aroma. Not too much water though, just enough to cook the rice. And not too long because the flavors are quite heat-sensitive and we don't want to take on unwanted bitterness from the prawn heads. About 5 minutes. We then let the stock cool completely because hot liquid gelatinizes rice too quickly. We rinse our rice to get rid of any excess starch. We coat with a bit of prawn oil to slow down starch release. A tiny touch of salt to further slow down starch release. 1.1 to 1 ratio, the 1 being the weight of the dry rice. Prawn stock goes in. We've covered how to cook rice extensively, which you can watch here, or use a rice cooker. Once the rice is cooked, we fluff to remove any trapped steam. One even layer. Into the fridge this goes to dry the surface. Yes, it's going to take 2 days, but it will be worth it. Day 2, and this is the dryness and texture you should expect. If not, put it back. Now, optional egg. We've covered egg fried rice extensively previously, which you can watch here. So, we separate the yolk and the white. Medium-high heat, still just high smoke point neutral oil at this point. Egg white goes in. And we try to form as thin a layer as possible to encourage limited Maillard reaction, particularly around the edges where moisture evaporates quickly. We want to slightly burn the edges to give us that illusion of wok-hei and contrasting texture for the whole dish. Without natural sugar, this is as golden as it gets before it burns. Once you're happy, onto a layer of paper towel. We let this cool slightly and we pat it completely dry to save our oil quota for the prawn oil. And we chop this into grain size. We wipe off the excess oil. Now the prawns. Because we're using tiger prawns, I've cut them into bite size, except for the presentation piece. If you're using smaller ones, you can keep them whole. Medium-low heat, prawn oil goes in. Prawn goes in to gently cook. We front-loaded the browning to the egg white. Many of the beautiful flavors of the prawns are quite heat-sensitive. Think about the difference between a poached prawn and a barbecue prawn. One tastes like prawn, the other tastes like barbecue. And we want to preserve that ocean-like sweetness. Once they've taken on this beautiful, vibrant color on all sides, stove off, and we crush a few garlic cloves. This will preserve the pungency of the garlic, while the residual heat will remove the raw edge. Give everything a good mix. Into a bowl. And now my childhood special, soy sauce in. When I was a kid, whenever we had prawns at home, I would always save the best piece on my soy sauce plate for last, and it was always the tastiest. Looking back, it was because the salt content firmed up the surface, giving you that snappy bite no amount of baking soda could achieve. Of course, there's also the umami synergy, whichever way they choose to go. Even 5 minutes makes a massive difference. And to not overly dilute, we're using 5% soy sauce of the weight of the raw rice, and we're going to use the soy sauce to season the rice. Back to the stove, and this time please don't wipe it. Rice goes in. We're pre-separating them. How can this not be good? We have the texture and smokiness from the whites, the flavors from the prawns. So we're simply warming this through. And like I said many times before, to make fried rice at home, non-stick skillet is your best friend. We drizzle more prawn oil to make sure each grain is lightly coated. Just look at the color. Egg white in, and we get to know each other. Now we gradually add the prawn soy sauce. Not a hint of anything sticking together, even with the introduction of the liquid. Now the egg yolk for richness and color. Once again, we do this gradually. As you can see, just with one yolk, it took me 4 times because we want this even, beautiful, golden color, which will turn copper with the addition of the prawn later. Now the prawns. Everything's cooked to perfection. Save the crazy tossing for the professionals and the Instagrammers. Just gentle mixing. That's all you need. How beautiful is that? Stove off and we plate. Presentation piece on top and the last drizzle of our prawn oil. This is as good as it gets.